Good morning. Welcome to my channel. My name is Emmie from Emmie Evolving. If this is your first time joining me, thank you for finding me. If this is not your first time, thank you for coming back. So I'm going to be doing a reading really quick. This is an energy update for everybody, okay? The date is 11/28/2020. Although that's the date, this can apply at any point in your journey. It could be today, it could be tomorrow, it could be a year from now. So let's see, let's get some cards ready. All right, there's communication that's needing to take place, probably within yourself as well as with someone else, okay? This is communication that's going to help you better understand yourself and your journey. Okay, so let me pull from one final deck. Oh, okay, well, the cards fell out, so they pulled themselves. It works. All right. So you're needing to have this conversation within yourself. You need to make sure you're understanding what your needs are. It seems as though your needs, whatever you thought they were, they've shifted. They're now something else. And if you're not going to allow yourself to recognize the difference in yourself, in you, you're not going to recognize how your needs have changed. And if you don't know what your needs are, how are you going to fulfill them? 77% at 752. 777, 5 plus 2 is 7. So this is about completing ending cycles, allowing yourself to move forward from those cycles and allowing yourself to see how you've changed. Change is good, regardless of whether people acknowledge the positivity in your change or not. You have to see all the changes within yourself as being good. These changes take you to higher levels of being, okay? So card number 5, follow your own rhythm. It's time for you to begin allowing yourself to dance within your own energy. Allow the light of your truth to showcase the beauty that you are. Stop diminishing yourself just because other people can't see your value. If they can't see their own value, you can't really expect them to see yours. So now is the time for you to really pull back into yourself, not to push away people or any of that, but pull back into yourself so you can understand where you are within your life, within your thoughts, within your feelings. Card number 29, seeing the true you. It's time. A lot of who you are, your perception of who you are, is really just a compilation of what other people have told you you are. This is what they've told you they need you to be, whether you're a villain or not. If they need a villain in their lives and you're nice enough to volunteer, you're now the villain, okay? Like I said, whether you did anything or not. If they need to have someone sitting on a pedestal and you happen to be conveniently someone they can place on that pedestal, they'll put you there. And that's not a bad thing, but at the same time, that kind of sets you up for this place of like needing to always do things extraordinarily in order to continue to be worthy of sitting on that pedestal that you never really asked to be put on, okay? So see the real you, see where you are in your journey, allow yourself to have a good idea of what you need to work on. And this is not work on because you're broken. This is work on so that you can further develop. There's a huge difference in working on yourself because you think there's parts of you that's broken. You're not good enough. If only I was this or that, people would like me more. You are who you are. And whether or not you have coping mechanisms that are tolerable or not, you are who you are. You are perfectly you. Now, if you have coping mechanisms that are unhealthy for you, then yes, those need to be adjusted. This is not about changing who you are and turning you into someone else. This is about figuring out who you are and making the adjustments so you can better be yourself. This is huge. This is a concept that's very difficult for most people to comprehend. And the reason is because we keep being told we need to be more like this. We need to be more like that person, that person, that person. And it's not common for us to be given permission to be who we are. Even the people who, they have this manufactured authenticity, they say these things because that's the hip thing to say right now. But really, can you be who you are with them? Do they always need to have this polished image and, you can never see them in any other mood except uplifting, inspirational? Is that real? No, it's not. So the words are confusing because the actions don't align with the words. And when you receive that, although the words sound good and the actions are polar opposite, you will probably get confused. If you're not anchored within your own truth, you will get confused. You will try and emulate the person. And what you're emulating just sounds good, but it's not actually beneficial for you. You have to find what's actually beneficial for you. And what's beneficial for one person is not going to be beneficial for the other. This is the period of authenticity, of that rediscovery of self, where you're trying to find who you are, what you're here to do. And these are not answers other people can give you. These are answers that are buried so deep within yourself and your truth that asking someone else is just not going to work. Because if you look in a pond, you can't really tell how deep it is, right? And the surface of the water has a tendency to distort what's actually there. You have to actually get in the pond. And even then, there's distortions in the water. So you still can't really tell what it is that's there. People don't really know what's there, what's within you. And you can't expect someone who can't see down to your depths. You can't expect them to tell you what's there. This is something you're going to have to find on your own. And don't be afraid of what you find, because oftentimes the things you're most afraid of is usually the most beautiful parts of you. The most beautiful parts. Oh my gosh, I don't want anyone to know what happened to me as a kid because, it's so ugly and it's a scary thought. People are going to judge me. How do you know that? Why is that such a preoccupation? If something was done to you as a child, someone did that to you. You did not ask for that. That is not your shame to carry anymore. That was never your shame to carry. But now you have to really be like, hey, no more, no more, no more. Things happened to me as a child. I did not ask for these things. I do not deserve these things. I need to allow myself to be free from that mental and emotional cage that's kept me there at that place where I was hurt. You have to see the true you. You got through whatever it was you've been through all the way up to this point in your life. You've been getting through it. Everything, you get through it. Everything, you survive it. What if at this point survival is not enough? What if at this point you're flourishing, you're thriving is what's necessary? What if that's what creation wants you to have? Not just survival, but thriving, where you are happy and secure right where you are, creating space for new places to be within yourself, around yourself, reaching higher levels of success, not because you're making more money, but because you're even happier and happier with every single thing that you do. These are very hard things to kind of wrap our minds around, but it's so important. We are all in varying degrees of obedience to the system that we live within. And this system was designed to oppress everybody. Some more than others, but everybody. What are you obedient to? Is it because you're afraid people will think you're weird? Is it because you're afraid that your truth will be too much? Is it because you feel like you're just not enough? And all of these things, who told you to feel that way? What was done to you to make you feel like that is your truth, that lie is somehow yours? because that's a lie. That's a lie. At some point in my life, there were recordings that were installed that made me feel all those things. Are any of them true for me? Now that I've gotten to know myself, absolutely not. Absolutely not. None of that shit is true for me. None. I am who I am, and I have space to continue growing. And this is a period of intense, amplified, accelerated growth. It's going to be very uncomfortable for so many of us. Very, very uncomfortable. Why is that? Because nothing you've done that's kept you comfortable has gotten you out of where you're at right now. That's deep. Nothing you've done that's kept you comfortable has gotten you out of where you're at right now. And it's not because you're lazy. It's because you're afraid. What type of greatness awaits me when I have released myself from this prison that I've created for myself? What kind of greatness is out there? What if I fail? What if you succeed? I feel like we're so accustomed to failures, not because we're losers, but because society programs us to do things that eventually lead to our failure, our sense of failure. I found that we're so accustomed to it. We're not really afraid of failing. We're afraid of succeeding. We're afraid of becoming something so that we can't hide anymore how amazing we are. We can't continue to lie to ourselves about how we're not enough, how no one understands us, how lies that we tell ourselves about ourselves. It's complicated in a very simple way. It's a simple complexity. You have to go through this maze within yourself to find the rewards. The rewards in life and the rewards within that depth that you create. It's time to really, really understand yourself, understand how the decisions you made, how it's led to all these other things that have happened in your life. All these decisions you make based on other people's preferences, other people's comfort levels, other people's expectations, it's led to one thing after another that's kept you in a perpetual state of dissatisfaction, unhappiness, depression. It's hard. It's hard when you're living for someone else who doesn't even really want to truly live for themselves. How do you do that? You don't. Not without being collateral damage. Oh, but I can save them. No, you can't. You cannot save them from themselves and their own decisions. You can simply assist. You can hold space. You can hope and root for them quietly from afar. But you cannot save someone from their own life. And if they are comfortable in their discomfort, what do you do? Try and convince them that they're wrong? That you know them better than they know themselves? That, I don't know, insert whatever lines you use when you struggle through a savior complex. That complex is complicated. It's very complicated, but it's something that ends up creating more confusion for yourself. It's something that ends up hurting you way more than anyone could have hurt you. Way more. The last cycle I went through with this was with my mother. I wanted to save her from herself, but she just didn't want to get better. She was tired. She didn't want to be here anymore. She didn't want to take her medication. She didn't want to do anything. And it became, instead of me taking care of her, it became shouting matches every day. 45-minute arguments before she finally would take her medication and look at me with so much resentment because I forced her to take her medication. And everyone sees it's like, oh my God, you took care of your mom. You were so good to her. Y'all, it was arguments for the last month while she lived with me. It was arguments. Like, here, I got your food. This is what you asked for. I don't want that. But you need to eat. You have to eat. Like, you can't not eat, even just a little bit. Just take a little bit. Why are you not eating? Why are you making? Well, here's the problem. The problem wasn't her not wanting to cooperate, because in that moment I was thinking she just doesn't want to cooperate. She just wants to make it hard. The problem was that I was trying to force her to do something that was not in alignment with what she wanted anymore. That hurt me because I was trying to dominate her and her sovereign free will. And it was a very, very difficult thing. One of the most difficult decisions I ever had to make was taking her back home to California. After a certain point, you have to just kind of grab your own shoulders, look yourself in your own eyes, and be like, what are we doing here? Are we helping or are we hurting? Are we trying to save her from herself? She knows what she wants. Is this an act of kindness or is this selfishness? Are you forcing her to do physical therapy and chug down medication after medication to keep her here because you can't let her go? Or is it true, like, and then I got to the realization, I'm being selfish. She doesn't want to do she doesn't want to do physical therapy. She doesn't want to take her medications. And Colorado is not the state to do that kind of stuff. So I had to bring her all the way back home to California. And that hurt. That hurt because I had already programmed what our experience would be. I already had these expectations. We're going to fully heal her. Not only is she going to be able to sit up, which we already got her to do, not only can she bend her legs into a seated position, we're going to get her standing and walking. Girl. That was my own thing. And it's like, no, she promised. She said she was coming to heal her. No, honey. No. She did not travel 1,500 miles one way in the hopes of healing herself. When you allow yourself to be very honest with what's actually going on, you see the truth of things. She traveled 1,500 miles one way because she needed to see that her daughter was actually truly okay and that it wasn't a lie. Her daughter wasn't just trying to soothe her. Her daughter was actually very independent, very solid, and very stable, and wasn't living hotel to hotel, had an actual house to be in. And when I understood that, my expectations shifted. She's seen everything she needs to see. She's seen that we are okay. Stop forcing her, stop fighting with her. Allow her to choose what her journey is. Allow her to go back home. And so we did. We did. So that confidence in knowing that you are doing whatever it is that honors the other person, that's a very empowering thing. It still hurts. It does. But it also can empower you because how many people can love so completely like that? How many? Are you able to love that completely where you know if you don't force this, they won't heal and they might not be there anymore? Can you set aside your own selfishness to recognize that it is selfishness? And this is not about, you're being a bad person. This is about recognizing the roots of your behaviors. Is your attempt to help someone really just an expression of your inability to let go, to give freedom, to allow your love to empower them to decide for themselves what exactly they want from life? That's hard. That's a very hard process. And this is what we're going through in this very last portion of 2020. This is what all of us are going through to varying degrees, varying depths, and varying elevations. We are all going through some sort of rearrangement of our lives. And it ends up being okay. Change is inevitable. When you fight that change, when you deny that change, that's when that change becomes something so destructive to your perception. It hurts so much. Why is life unfair? All of these things. We're going through a transformation. Allow yourself to transform. Allow the change to occur. Observe yourself. What areas within you still resist this change? What parts of you feel afraid of other parts being destroyed? Is there something you actually need to fear? You know, asking yourself questions instead of just dictating to yourself. Ooh, oh, that's fucking deep. We are all flowering in that nothingness. We're flowers of the night, flowering in that nothingness. Our roots soaked in darkness. That's, wow. We feel like our growth can only come in the light, and in reality, most of the growth that occurs in creation is obscured. It's hidden away in shadow and darkness. Where do you grow? Before you're born, where do you grow? In the sacred darkness of your mother's womb. When you're laid to rest, where do you go? Into some nothingness that people don't really know what's there. That, you know, there's all this speculation of what is, what might be. The nothingness, all it means is no form. It's not really nothing. It's everything torn apart and allowed to exist in all its pieces. That's what the nothingness is. It's absence of human senses. And so you're left existing simply in all your higher perception abilities. Most of the things that humans still cannot tap into yet. There is a growing number who is able to, but yeah. So that's the update for today. Just a lot of letting you know that change is coming, a lot of needing you to allow yourself to flow with these changes, allow yourself to forgive yourself for not being able to create the end result that you thought you could. Because really, the end result that you failed at, heavy emphasis on that sarcasm, was it really the result that would respect everyone's sovereignty, that would keep yours and everyone else's intact? Probably not. Probably not. And if that's the case, cry for a little bit and then let it go. Not let the person go. Like, you know, in my case, it was something I learned with my mom. I'm never going to let her go. Are you kidding me? That's not going to happen. But what is going to happen is eventually, and it's working its way there, I'll eventually let go of that feeling of I gave up, because I know why I brought her back. And I was really fucking mad that I had to bring her back. I knew I didn't give up on her, because I didn't. I loved her in the way she needed the most. the way that freed her to decide for herself exactly what she wanted. And a month later, she passed. So, if you could please give this video a thumbs up, I would really appreciate that. If you haven't already subscribed, please do subscribe. Turn on that notification bell. I'll see you guys again soon. Bye.